Hello, welcome back to the channel. I haven't posted for a while because, to be completely honest, I haven't had a great deal to say, so I haven't been saying anything. I saw a post the other day from Andy saying that the Elddis Factory have now stopped producing caravans. We haven't heard any murmurs that they're going to produce them in Poland or anywhere else. Not that I've heard anyway. You may know different. If so, pop it in the comments to see what's going on there. So it kind of got me thinking. Are the other manufacturers going to look at what Eldis have done and think, oh, hang on a minute, is it worth us doing? Now, you could say that now with Eldis not producing caravans, there is more market out there for the rest of the manufacturers to kind of divvy up and make it more viable. When I was up at Eldis and up at Swift recently, then the focus was on motorhomes. It was even said that caravans weren't the main focus for Swift going forward, and they were looking at more motorhomes. Not to say that they're going to stop doing it. That wasn't mentioned at all. But I would have thought that if one of the major manufacturers has stopped doing them, then they may well think, well, actually, do we need to carry on producing caravans as well? Now, hopefully, that isn't the case. Hopefully, now what will happen is, now that Eldis have stopped, then obviously you got Bailey, Coachman, and Swift all producing caravans. Obviously, Adrian, all the others are kind of divvying up what the sales were that were potentially from Eldis. So hopefully that is enough for them to carry on and producing caravans in the same way that they have been. So it just kind of occurred to me is that now one manufacturer has done this. Now, I don't know if this has happened before in the industry. Again, there is probably people out there that will know this. Is this the first time where a manufacturer has ceased to produce caravans and not gone under? Now, obviously, we have, I think actually technically Fleetwood, when they were bought out by Adria, I don't think they stopped the Fleetwood brand because there wasn't a market. It's because they were concentrating on Adria and they wanted the premises. So that might be one. But obviously you got Luna and Avondale and all the others that ceased trading because their businesses folded. Now, obviously, this isn't the case with Eldis. They've just decided to stop selling caravans because I think looking at the numbers, it would be a sensible thing to do with a shrinking market that we've definitely seen now. Now, I think in the last video, I quoted 9,000. And I think since then, I've kind of seen figures of around about 6,000 or 7,000 new units being produced in the current climate, which, you know, when you look back at, you know, the heady days of producing 30,000, it's kind of just dropped year on year since then. And even back, you know, even the heady days of 20,000, you think, well, they're never going to get to that anymore. So when you're looking at the 3 or 4 big major manufacturers trying to split up caravan sales between 6,000, there's got to be a tipping point where they go, well, look, it's just not viable to do this anymore. Like I said, hopefully that isn't the case, because obviously there's more people that are looking to buy because of the people that were going to buy Eldis are now going to look at Swift and Bailey and Coachman. I know, you know, you will say that there's people out there that, oh, I said never buy another Swift, I'll never buy another Bailey, but you know, that is has always been the case with people who've been burnt before. So I think it'd be interesting to know if even it's crossed the minds of other manufacturers, whether they're looking at it and going, well, actually, do we need to produce caravans? When I was up at the Swift factory, there was a few lines selling producing caravans, and then there was the motorhomes lines, but there's also a couple of lines that weren't being used. So that means that they weren't running at capacity for the motorhomes. So when I did go to Eldis and I did go to Swift, it was focus was on the motorhome side of things, and that's obviously where Eldis have kind of decided to concentrate on. That's what they're looking at. And when I was talking to the guys at Swift, then it was the focus on motorhomes as well. And that could be another bubble. We don't know. I'm not a motorhome person, so I don't really know the market. But everyone I've been speaking to is saying that the motorhomes is the way to go. Maybe it's because it's a higher end product, and the kind of people that buy motorhomes aren't affected so much by the cost of living crisis. Now this is just me saying things. I don't know if this is true, but it's just kind of my opinion on it. Is that if you're spending 60,000-70,000 pounds on a new motorhome, upwards, then you're not so affected by the cost of living crisis. The shrinking in the market of the touring caravans, which I've seen over my period of selling them, and I've said this before, and I'm sorry to go over it again, but when I first started, even in 2010, you could buy a new caravan for 12,500-13,000 pounds, and then they just shot up from then. But unfortunately, the wages of the kind of the working man who wants to buy a caravan hasn't gone up in the same vein. So whereas it was a kind of something that the masses could look at, it's now got into kind of a middle classy kind of business owner type person who can afford new caravans, rather than a general person who could afford them. So I think that the market has kind of priced itself out of big numbers, and I can't see that that's ever going to come back again. So if we're looking at 9,000, 8,000, 7,000 units a year, is that going to keep on dropping? If it does keep on dropping, because of the change in the way that we do caravan and holiday, because there's lots of other factors as well. The people that were traditionally up for a caravan in holiday might be running out. They might be packing up because they're fed up with it, or can't do it anymore. And then we haven't got this kind of new breed of people coming in and taking it up. So that could further shrink the market as well. Again, once you start getting down to 4,000, then I would have thought the major manufacturers are going to look at it and go, well, look, it's just not viable. You have to pay wages, you have to pay rates, everything you've got to pay to keep those lines running. On a dwindling market, there's got to be a tipping point where they go, look, it's just not worth it. Like I said, hopefully it will stabilize at whatever it needs to stabilize at to keep it viable for manufacturers. But going to the Swift factory, maybe a bit different to Bailey, because Swift have got more kind of strings to their bow. So they've got more motorhomes, and they're making the kind of the camper vans now, and also because they've got the what's called the lodges and all those kind of things. There's more things that you could maybe move the workforce over to. If statics and lodges are stronger, then you can start building those more than you build touring caravans. I think with Bailey, you haven't got so many strings to the bow, so it's caravans and motorhomes. So it would be a bigger decision to not sell caravans or not produce caravans from a manufacturer like that. Same with Coachman, possibly. Obviously they do motorhomes as well, I think. So but they haven't got the statics and lodges side of things either. And now, obviously, I think Eldis were in a not a unique position, but a different position to the traditional UK manufacturers like Bailey and Swift, and not Coachman. They're owned by a French company now. But whereas they have access to a massive group, and if something could be made more efficiently in another country already, their manufacturing processes in Europe could well they are. This has been proven. They have got the capacity to build the UK product over there, probably cheaper. I don't know. It would be interesting to see the factory over there. I've heard it's quite something, and so maybe Swift and Bailey and all those kind of manufacturers haven't got that kind of other side to their business that they could kind of call upon to think, right, okay, well, there's no point making it here because it's not cost effective. Unfortunately, there's going to be lots of UK jobs gone, but you can take them over to Poland and make the same things and bring them back here, because most of the components are coming from Europe anyway, so you put it together there and bring it in here rather than build it here. Obviously now Swift haven't got factories abroad that they can call on, not that I know of. I could be completely wrong. Same with Bailey. So I think Eldis were in a unique position to be able to take advantage of that, and that's maybe why they've done it. It might not be the market, it might still be viable, it might be just that it's more viable to build those kind of things over in Europe than it is here. Now obviously, with that might not be the case with caravans because of this shrinking market. Now I don't know. I should have probably done my research as to find out how many motorhomes are being sold in the UK and to see what kind of scales that they are compared to the caravan market. I obviously didn't do that, unfortunately. So that'd be interesting. Obviously, you guys will probably know that, so stick that in the comments as well to let me know what it is. I'll probably do a bit of research after this to find that out, because I should have done that. So is the market in motorhomes significantly bigger? Is there more profit in them to be made in producing those? Now, I did go to a dealer fairly local to me not so long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and saw a tremendous amount of stock on the forecourt. And when I was walking around, it was worrying me. And I thought, crikey, when you start getting into May, June, you start to want to be running out really of the previous year's product. Now I saw caravans lined up there, all of the same model and make, thinking you've got to start selling those quickly, because the manufacturers also they keep producing caravans up until June, July for this year. So there will be probably some builds coming down the line for June and July, sometimes even into August. But I'm not quite sure on that. Certainly in July, I used to get product come down the line onto the finance lines from the manufacturers at that time of year. And really, you don't want that to be coming down if you've got lots of products sat on the forecourt that you haven't sold already. So we may start to see summer sales with swathes of money locked off of caravans. If you see these things coming up where they save £3,000, it's not for your benefit, it's to get rid of stock that's on the forecourt and on the finance lines before the 2027 stuff starts to be delivered, which is in August, September time. So if you've got a huge amount of stock sat on your finance line and in your forecourt, and you haven't got loads of area to put all the new stuff coming in, which I don't think this dealer that I saw did have, you are in trouble in two ways, because A, you got to put it somewhere, and B, you got to get it on the finance line. Now I saw a significant amount of stock there with motorhomes as well, and some of the motorhomes were there at 100k and they were lined up, and it doesn't take long to get a finance line of 3 or 4 million on there. And unfortunately, what happens when you get to this time of year is the finance houses kind of tend to start wanting their money back and you have to start paying those products off. So that could be a scary process thought if you've got that kind of money set on the finance line and no one's coming in to buy those products. And then you've got the manufacturers asking, when do you want your 2027 products? And you're thinking, well, I haven't got rid of those yet. So hopefully we're not in the situation like we were in 24, where the market slowed right down and the manufacturers hadn't stopped producing the products because they hadn't really realized that was going to happen. And they're not starting to distress sell these products now. I mean, the good news is if you did want to buy a new motorhome or a caravan, then you can go into the dealership and have a look around. And if you're seeing loads and loads of stock everywhere, then you're in a good position to probably knock an extra couple of grand off or something, because they'd be keen to move it on, especially this time of year. But when I was looking around the forecourt, I was thinking, crikey, I would want to be seeing spaces here, ready for the next year's things to come in. And also it makes the business better, because you're not distress selling from a salesperson's point of view, or someone that owns the business. When someone comes in and you've got half a chance to sell something, you start knocking money off in your head just to get rid of it. The fear of having that caravan or motorhome on that finance line and on the stocking plan means that you will do anything to get rid of it. If you haven't ordered enough, you're the other way around, which is a good position from a business point of view to be in, is that if you've got one caravan there and that's all you need to sell, then you're going to keep hold of that caravan and get the decent money out of it so that you can your business can make profit. If if dealerships are knocking off £3,000 or £4,000, it's not a good sign for that dealership. It isn't a good place to be. If there was, one or two caravans, they probably wouldn't be that, keen to knock that kind of money off. They'd just hold on to them because you can afford to pay off 2 or 3 caravans and keep hold of them and sell them to someone who maybe doesn't like the next year's models for whatever reason, because you always get that. So I was a bit worried when I saw the amount of stock left as we're going into May on this dealer's forecourt, and I thought I would be a bit nervous if I was in that position. Now, I don't know the business. They might sell 10 a week. It might be fine. You might go there next month and it's all gone. I don't know. But I'd certainly, it'd be interesting if I went back there at the end of May into June, if it was still the case that there was all this 2026 stuff there. I'd certainly be a bit twitchy. So why are we in this position? I think we've said it. I think other people have covered it as well. Is that the prices are too high, but they are what they need to be through external factors that we all know. You can't produce a caravan now and sell it at £15,000, which is affordable. It has to be this kind of number because of all the technology in it and because of all the market forces that go towards producing that caravan. Also, we're in the position because again, as I mentioned earlier, because of that price increase, the normal person, let's say, I know it's probably not PC to say that, but the kind of the general buying public can't buy new caravans. When you're looking at a new Lusso or whatever at £50,000, it's not something that is affordable to the masses, and you're not going to be mass selling them. So you are reducing the kind of market that you can sell those things to. But I mean, there are still good pre-owned caravans out there. So I'm talking about new, and not the death of, but the reduction of that market. But it doesn't mean that there aren't hundreds of thousands of pre-owned caravans out there that are just as good, and they do exactly the same thing. You can buy a £55,000 Lusso or whatever, but it's got a bed in it. You can cool your milk down. You can go to the toilet in it, and you can have a shower, and you're still sat outside looking at the same view as someone next to you who's got a £2,000 caravan that they bought off a marketplace and stuck an awning up. You're still looking at the same view. You're still drinking the same cup of tea or beer, whatever it happens to be. You're still on the same park. So you don't need to spend that kind of money on those kind of things. And where the market has changed is the ability for that customer base to be able to fix their own caravans. Now, when I first started, you had a water pump and a couple of lights and a fridge, and it was pretty straightforward to fix the things that went wrong. And it didn't go wrong very often. But now, you had, if you could wire a plug up, you pretty much had the basic knowledge to fix most of the stuff in that caravan if it went wrong when you were on holiday. Now, you need a degree in computer science to work it out. Also, the things that are in there, like if your control panel packs up in one of these caravans, I've had it this week, control panel packed up, the whole thing's dead. You can't do anything with it. That on and on switch button doesn't work. That's it. Again, in the old days, and I hate to harp on about this really, but you could bypass a switch and you could get going. One switch didn't control the whole panel and your water pump and all this kind of stuff to the same degree as it does now. And that control panel is something that you have to swap out, and it costs you £400 to swap it out to find out whether it's gone or not. If it isn't that, then it can be anything in the rest of the system with the printed circuit boards and CAN bus systems and all that kind of stuff, and you've got no hope really. Back in the day, you could fix something, you could get away with it, you could still carry on with your holiday, and you're not sat there in darkness. You could argue that you can go and get a torch and you can do this, but the caravans now are more reliant on these kind of technologies, so it isn't so easy to do. So the customer these days are more reliant on the products not packing up when they're there. You can't really fix it yourself. And then even when you get a technician out, if you can get a technician out to look at it, you're £100 an hour plus a call out fee, and they have to really have seen this stuff before, because you don't really want to go out onto a site to do a call out and have to start fault finding on something that you've never seen before. So that's a tricky thing as well. To get these things fixed out in the field isn't that easy to do these days. Whereas I used to do call out after call out to fix water pumps, and light switches and things that are gone. That's what I used to do. I was routinely going on call outs. These days it's not so easy to do that kind of stuff, because you have to have all the equipment to swap out to work it out. And then people have been getting fed up with the quality. We have a historical issue that we all know about with every manufacturer and all the problems that they've had, and I'm wondering if the fixing and the promises that have come now is too little too late. Now, another thing on the Eldis thing is I was disappointed with the caravans not being produced by Eldis, because I really thought, after I've been to the factory and met Adam and everyone up there, that they could, if they put into practice, which they had already been doing, and I could see the theory behind it, and I could see it in practice actually, the graphs and the charts of what they've been doing over the past 4 years. I really thought if they carried on making caravans, then they could be the one to lead the manufacturers, because if you produce something that's good year and year and year, it's just going to spread. Problem is, again, it sounds like it's too little too late, and the market shrinking really hasn't helped, and it got to the point where it's just not viable to do. But I was disappointed, because it would have been really interesting to see if what they'd done at that factory and all the things that they put in place there had paid dividends further down the line. But it would have been another 3 or 4 years before you know that, because the problem is the historical issues that the Eldis products have had have tainted everyone's view on what they were. I still had people saying, yes, I bought a caravan in 2018 and I had a split panel and I had this and I had that, and now we're in 2025, or back then 25, now in 2026, that product doesn't exist anymore. Those issues have long gone, but unfortunately the hangover of those issues are still affecting what people are saying to other people as well. Don't buy an Eldis. I had a crack panel in 18. They're not going to buy an Eldis, regardless of whether that's actually true today or not. So I think the historical issues that all the manufacturers have had, and some are still going on now, although, like I said, when I went to the Swift factory and I saw Peter there, and the way that they have changed the ethos of it from what it was to what it is now, it's is going in the right direction. It is not a money driven thing. It is a customer relation kind of driven business where they want to make a product that's absolutely spot on, and then the money comes after. That's how I always look at things. If you try to make a business just for money, that's when you don't fix the sunroof for 7 or 8 years. You just keep on doing it and fixing it. You don't fix the cant rails. You don't fix all the other issues we're seeing, because you're trying to build a business up to sell it on, or whatever you happen to be doing. When the business model changed to more customer facing, and kind of the ethos of that business is, look, we've got to make a product that's really good, and then the money comes after it, then that's great. But again, you're fighting against all the issues that we've seen on the internet and on the forums, and even on the campsites, where people are saying, oh, don't buy a Swift because I got a cracked sunroof, the furniture's coming away, or whatever happens to be. Don't buy a Bailey because I've got a floors damp underneath. Again, whatever happens to be, that's really difficult. It needs to be, it needed to be nipped in the bud within a year or two, and then kind of moved on from, so that that thing didn't spread. It's kind of like a cancer going through the industry, and unfortunately, we may well be seeing the effect of that. Is that it's too little too late, and that may be where we've seen in Eldis. I think that their product would have been absolutely bang on if they would carried on doing what they were doing, and those graphs kept on dropping down. I think their product would have been really good, because as soon as they saw an issue with it, they all jumped on it, and it wasn't a kind of, I'll just patch it up, chuck it out the door because we can't afford to fix it. It was like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? We need to know. And it was a kind of a forensic picking apart of what went wrong, and then it was fixed so you didn't get it again. And you know, that was, to me, was just a kind of a real big eye-opener. So that's what we've been saying for years. That's where it needs to be. And that's where Swift are going. That's what they're looking at doing, is it's the same kind of thing. Now, I can't say about Bailey because I've not been to the factory. I know the people there, but I haven't been there, so I haven't been able to have those conversations with those guys, so I couldn't get a kind of a feeling of where it was going. So it's difficult for me to say what's going on at Bailey. I'd like to hope that it's the same thing, is that you can't just keep building things that have got problems with them, with floors leaking and stuff. It needs to be sorted out. So hopefully that's what they're doing there as well, just to make sure that the market is still there and that people can have trust. And I've said this time and time again, trust. That's the thing, that if you lose your trust, it's game over. So what is the future? Well, we don't know, obviously. If I knew that, I'd be a very rich man. But like I said earlier, hopefully we're going to get to this point where it's equilibrium, where there's enough vans being sold per year. There's enough new people coming into the industry and wanting to buy caravans. Now, I have sold to younger people. You know, they are there. With what's going on in the world now, with, you know, everything that's going on, are we going to see people not want to go abroad so much? Having said that, then you're looking at the fuel prices going up through the roof. So people, you know, if you're coming down from Scotland and you want to go to Cornwall, it's a significant amount of money in your fuel tank to do that. So, you know, the economic world situation has a kind of an upside to help us because people don't want to fly abroad, but a downside because people can't afford to do anything. But then it gets a saturation point, and I've always thought this, that it's 18 months of people just sitting down on not doing anything because they're worried about it. After around about 18 months, they think, well, look, I want to live. Sod this, I'm out, I'm going, I don't care what goes on. So it takes about 18 months for people to get fed up with going with it and just go anyway. But yeah, I think it takes that amount of time for people to kind of come out and put their head above the parapet and go, oh, actually, it's not the end of the world. You know, I could go and have a nice week down in Cornwall and enjoy myself rather than sat here at home worrying about the fuel prices. Hopefully that is what is going to happen, is people will, you know, come out and enjoy themselves. You know, obviously I'm down in Cornwall. When we get the weather here, you can't get a better place. It's absolutely fantastic. And like I said earlier, you don't have to spend £25,000 plus on a new caravan, up to 50 or whatever it is. You can spend less than £4,000 on something. I had a van here the other day, and I put it on Marketplace, and it was absolutely spotless, had no water ingress in it, everything worked. It had a bed, it had a fridge, it had everything you need to go caravan in it, and it cost £4,000. And it's fixable. You know, someone phoned me up and said, you know, I've got an issue with this van. I could tell them exactly what it was, and they could fix it. It's not like, you know, like I said before, with the control panels where there's nothing I can do. So you don't have to spend this kind of money on new vans. It's just whether the manufacturers are going to carry on looking at this and seeing whether it's viable or not. You can never say never, but the thought of Swift or Bailey or someone else not selling caravans would just blow my mind. I can't envisage it, but there has to be a point when you look at a business when you think, look, it's just not viable. We can take that workforce and do something else with it and make more money doing that. And you know, that may well happen. Who knows? Give it 12 months and we'll know. But the fact that Eldis have done it would maybe, you know, if it was me sat behind a desk and then I was an MD of one of these people, I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, why have they done that? You know, let's look at it. And that's probably what they have done already. And hopefully that's not the case. They will just keep on making caravans, and you know, put the future funds back into it to make this product better, to get that trust back into the buying world, and then people forget about what happened, you know, years ago, and they will buy a caravan, have no trouble with it, and then look to buy another one. That's the perfect scenario. So with the manufacturers concentrating on motorhomes, that isn't immune either. That can change in an instant. People might stop buying them. The market may, you know, we may be feeding the people that want to buy new motorhomes now, they may well dry up once they've bought. You only buy one. You don't buy one every year, so you have to keep replacing those people with new people to buy new motorhomes. So that might dry up, and then it might swing over towards caravans again. You don't know, and then all the manufacturers that are left are now in a much better position to maybe ramp that up. So let's hope that is the case, that the caravan sales do go up. I think pre-owned will still be strong. I think there is still a good amount of people that want to do it. The parks are still there. I know a lot of people always say it's too expensive to go on a park, but it's not. It is if you go to one with a swimming pool and a clubhouse and it's spitting distance to the beach and it's got everything. Yes, you're paying £40-50 a night. There are club sites out there that you can pay £15 a night and you have an absolutely fantastic view. So it's not a case of they are out there. I know I'll probably get slated for that. People are saying it's too expensive to go on a park, but there are things out there that you can go and do. You can go on a CL. You can go off peak, off season, maybe, I don't know. So as always, I know I've banged on a lot. Sorry about that, but once I start to get it going, it kind of, it just has to come out. So like and subscribe, do all that kind of thing. Keep an eye out for other videos. I haven't been doing many because I haven't had anything to say. Generally what happens is when I do a big one like this, I'll get lots of comments and it will kind of get me going again, and I'll maybe do one or two think, I didn't mention that, or I've got to readdress that. So this may well get me going again. We'll see. But yeah, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. And as always, your comments on here are gold, and I know that the manufacturers read them. So if you did want to put a message out there to the manufacturers, then yeah, maybe put it on there. And actually a shout out to the manufacturers, actually, because when I went to the show, sorry to keep on, no, I didn't go to the show this year, but when I was looking at the socials a bit on the show, I think there must have been more influencers out there, and there must have been more people that go to the show that have got their own YouTube channel and going around recording than there were actually people there to buy caravans. It seemed to be there's so many people that are now started doing this, and they're recording what they're doing, and they're doing that. So and I have had people on my channel say that they were interested to see what they say, and they actually made a buying decision based on what I had said on Eldis, which makes me feel a bit sad that they've stopped doing it and stopped selling caravans. But so from the manufacturers, look at the influencers, because I think there was a few people out there that are becoming influencers with the market, and they're saying it like it is. So rather than traditional print and all that kind of stuff, look at how those kind of guys are influencing what people are saying. So if you are out there and you get a call from the manufacturer to support you, then great. That's what what I think they should be doing, is getting you guys on board, or and telling people how it is, and because people like to hear real stories. You can listen to a manufacturer blurb all day long telling you how good their product is. It means nothing compared to someone actually out there in the real world using it. So keep up the good work. I do watch a lot of these things to see what you guys are saying. So yeah, sorry I carried on again. See you next time, and chuck all the comments in the bottom below, in the comment section below, and we'll see what happens.